Diggity, and we are back. And I don't know if y'all know if you've been under a rock, but this Lindsay Clancy thing is way out of control. So we're talking about the mother who unfortunately unalived her three small children after telling her husband to go on some errands, right? But if that ain't enough, if the trial's not enough, you got supporters dressed up like, I don't know, saluting or something outside of the courthouse when she was rolling up, and it has sparked a divide in their community, and everybody got something to say about it. So I'm Jay Lava. I scour the internet so that you don't have to. So I'm finna bring y'all what's going down, man. Just this opens up a whole can of worms about mental health and also about accountability. Let's go ahead and shoot to the article so we can get y'all up to speed on what we talking about. Okay, we got to make sure you're up to speed.
Hundreds of Lindsay Clancy supporters rallied outside the courthouse today where she's on trial for murder in the killing of her three children. It was the largest crowd of supporters so far, many wearing clothes emblazoned with phrases like "Peace for Lindsay" and "She needed help." That's a reference to the condition Clancy's defense team argues makes her not responsible for the crime. Postpartum psychosis is a rare but treatable illness, as our Chanel Call shows us in conversation with another young mother who survived it.
I've never in my life gone through a period where I thought it would be better not to be alive. And all of a sudden, it became the only option.
In 2020, after giving birth to her first son, Kane, Haley Ashcombe's dream of becoming a mother suddenly felt like a nightmare.
It first presented kind of as insomnia, difficulty sleeping, a lot of anxieties, but they continued to escalate. What I believe were intrusive thoughts ended up turning into voices.
She was prescribed the same anti-anxiety medication as Lindsay Clancy. But those voices, Ashcombe says, grew louder and turned violent.
They told me exactly how and what I should do to end my life.
Ashcombe says she went straight to a hospital and, like Clancy, was prescribed a second anti-anxiety med.
Did those voices go away?
Unfortunately, they just continued to get worse.
After ultimately checking herself into a psychiatric hospital, Ashcombe says she was diagnosed with postpartum psychosis.
We have 3 women with that diagnosis.
Dr. Catherine Berndorf treats women with this illness and says it's underdiagnosed because many doctors don't know what to look for.
It's a very lethal and dangerous illness that, when left untreated, has tragic outcomes.
Good job!
Ashcombe is thankful she got the treatment she needed in time and went on to have 3 more children without experiencing psychosis again.
And if you're struggling with postpartum mental illness or know someone who is, you can call or text the National Maternal Mental Health Hotline through the number on your screen. Tony?
Really good information, Chanel. Thank you. Hundreds of Lindsay Clancy supporters rallied outside the courthouse today where she's on trial for murder in the killing of her 3 children.
So y'all heard that. I just want to kind of get y'all up to speed to where we at with it, but that ain't what everybody else is feeling. If you feeling what I'm feeling, like, what? Y'all rallying around Shorty that and took her shorties out the box? Are you serious? That's what we're really talking about here? Everybody got something to say about it. So it's my job to let the people speak. Just to kind of get right off the bat, because if it would be very harsh if I said it. So I employ somebody else to say it. So check her out.
Because if white women, mostly white mothers on this app, if they accept the fact that a white, rich, married, suburban, nurse, mother, woman killed her children, then they have to reckon with everything they've been taught is good and bad. Every person they've been taught is good and is bad. Because if they have to accept that she did this, right, then they have to accept that they are capable of it. And the truth is, Every single one of us is capable of the worst thing you could ever imagine. Every one of us is capable of doing that, but our racist, white supremacist, patriarchal, punishment-obsessed culture has taught us that only certain people in certain conditions are capable of doing one of the worst things that we can imagine in today's society, which is kill your children. So instead of accepting that, because again, if they accept that, they have to accept the truth about themselves they're not willing to accept, because that is white womanhood, right? White womanhood is simultaneously being an accomplice to racism and patriarchy and being a perpetual victim. So they infantilize Lindsay Clancy and make up, honestly, these quite diabolical, violent, inhumane conspiracy theories about a man who found his 3 children murdered by his wife, who he loved dearly. I'm not here to even talk about the kind of husband he was. I don't actually care about the kind of husband he was, because that's not what this is about.
Right.
It's not even really about the trial, in my opinion. It is about this mass delusion of white womanhood that is showing itself on this app right now because of who we believe is a bad mother, who we believe does bad things, who we believe is capable of murdering and harming children. And if these white women accept that Lindsay did it, then they also don't have the framework to accept that she still deserves to be treated with dignity, and she still deserves to be treated with respect, and she still deserves a pathway to healing and a pathway to forgiveness. They can't reckon with that, so they have to make up some absolutely illogical story that relies on the infantilization, the victimization of someone who murdered her children. Is Lindsay?
Dang, that was just straightforward. Oh no, not everybody agrees with what is going down. Did you know they got this little screaming thing they do? Hold on, it gets real deep. You know I didn't scour it. I got it all for you.
Have we actually ruled out the possibility of demon possession here? Because I'm trying to find another explanation that makes sense, and postpartum issues and the struggles of motherhood just really aren't doing it for me. I mean, we have literally had women lining up outside of the courthouse and waving and cheering for Lindsay Clancy as she shows up for her murder trial. And then we've had women going, oh, I can totally identify with wanting to strangle your kids. Let me go chuck some ice in my shower and film it. And now it's just rage screaming like a psychopath. Ladies, get your bat crap crazy selves under control right now. This is embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. Your husband should be embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. If you truly think that you can identify with Lindsay Clancy because you're hearing voices in your head telling you to kill your children, then you are a danger to yourself and others, and you should be locked up in the funny farm right there alongside her. Otherwise, spank your inner toddler, cut this mess out, and go be a mom. You freaking lunatics. I mean, for crap's sake, man.
Yeah, not everybody's with the shenanigans. She had to snap out real quick. She was not having it. Hey, just like my girl right now, she is not having it either. She wants to give you a piece of her mind. She said, "No, we are not Lindsay Clancy.
We are Lindsay Clancy. No, the fuck we aren't." And the women across social media pushing the "we are Lindsay Clancy" and stating that could have been me, you need to have your children taken away. You need to not be anywhere near children, because if you believe that you could be a woman that could strangle your children to death, drag them all down to a basement, strangle each one of them using 4 to 6 minutes of pressure, and in that moment say to them, go with God, which means that she was conscious enough to remember that moment, which shows that she wasn't in psychosis, because a person in psychosis does not remember what happened while they were in psychosis. Are you all not listening to that? But if you believe that you're a woman that could do that, then you should not be around your children. And the women that are supporting this, I hope you realize that every time we don't hold a woman accountable for the murder of her children because she has postpartum depression, we're just giving more and more evidence to the court system to be able to say, if a woman is diagnosed with postpartum depression, she should be removed from the home and she should be removed from her children. Because time and time again, women are murdering children because of postpartum depression. And then we slap them on the hand, we say it was mental health, we put them in a mental health institute for a year or two, and then they get to go live their lives as if they didn't murder their children. We're giving an excuse for mental health. And yeah, I understand postpartum depression is serious and postpartum psychosis is serious, which is exactly why the system should be concerned about women that are diagnosed with it being around their children. But how in the hell can you sit on a pedestal and say this wasn't her fault, even though we can see that she was mentally struggling? That's not an excuse. When she Googled about this, that shows intent. When she remembers moments of it, that shows intent. Where she's admitting that she did it, that shows that she was there and present in the moment if she can admit that she did it. Let me make it clear. We are not all Lindsay Clancy. And if you say that you are, I'm concerned about you being around any child. Have the day you deserve. We are Lindsay Clancy. No, the fuck we aren't. And the women across social media pushing the...
Let me give her... Hey, they're standing up. They're not trying to be that person. It's crazy out here in these streets. Did y'all hear this one though?
The Lindsay Clancy case, I thought pretty cut and dry. She sent her husband on an errand and then killed her 3 children. Death penalty. And then I saw about half the women on the internet coming to her defense, and I thought, okay, is there something I'm missing here? So I asked my wife what she thought. And my wife, who's a very reasonable and rational woman, said, well, if you look at her diary entries, there's a reason why a lot of women can sympathize with the feeling of being overwhelmed or failing as a wife and a mother, because your hormones can go nuts after having kids. When you also look at the various medical providers she had and the fact that she was on a strange cocktail of 13 different types of drugs, from antidepressants to mood stabilizers, et cetera, you can also suggest that that's probably a bad thing and something to consider. However, this is the part where my wife is a reasonable and rational person. She still sent her husband on an error while she systematically strangled the life out of her 3 children, and that's evil and deserves to be punished. So one can have sympathy for these other things while still making sure that the preponderance of your sympathy goes to the children who were murdered. By the way, for the women out there that think the husband actually did it, because after all, he's a Gemini and we all know how they are. Yeah, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. In fact, you probably shouldn't be allowed to walk outside without a helmet. I saw the Lindsay Clancy case, I thought pretty cut and dry. She sent her husband on an errand and then killed her 3 children.
Hey,
death penalty.
Hey, when y'all got the Brad speaking up, it's a problem. You'll never see white men checking white women in public like that. Really, it's really like that right now. They feel like, something. And I mean, there's black people that got something to say, and of course I'm going to get to that. But I want y'all to see what's going on in the community itself, because
So this is for all the women out there who are going, we're all Lindsay Clancy. Guess what? Actually, no. All fathers are Patrick Clancy, and I'll tell you why. What they are doing to Patrick Clancy right now is typical, and it happens to every single man who breaks up with the mother of their children. And basically, their logic looks like this. He ate brunch with his friends sometimes. He must be an abuser. A few nights every month, he had to go out of town for work. He must be an abuser. He was sitting on the couch instead of staring at his lifeless children. He must be an abuser. He had a favorite musician who passed away when he took his own life, and he researched that. He must be an abuser. He liked to go skiing with his friends. He must be an abuser. He's cooperating with the police. He must be an abuser. His now ex-wife even admitted to the crimes. He's still an abuser. I personally relish the fact that all of these women are coming out and admitting that at any time, any of them could snap, because now you are seeing just the level of cognitive dissonance that every single divorced or separated father goes through in family court every single day of every single year in America. This is what we go through. If we leave the mother or something happens where mom goes absolutely ballistic, even committing the heinous acts that Lindsay Clancy did, and even when she admits to it, no matter what, they have to say that there must be something wrong with the father.
That's an interesting point. That is a very interesting point. I want to even take it deeper, and I want to say that even in trying to do the right thing, they still can't call it out. I'm going to play this video and see if y'all can point out what I'm talking about.
Fellow white women, you have to stop writing fan fiction about Lindsay Clancy and Patrick Clancy. I get that it's hard to wrestle with what happened, but it's not coming from a place that's rooted in reality. And I think deep down, it's coming from a place of white woman victimhood. Now, is Lindsay Clancy a victim of the mental health crisis that does not treat postpartum women properly? Yes, I would argue yes. But is she the person who committed what happened? Also yes. And so the amount of people that I'm seeing on this app who are now devolving into theories that Patrick Clancy did it and this timeline doesn't add up and it was definitely him and he tricked her into thinking she did it. No, that's not what happened. I know that you're having a hard time wrapping your head around the fact that she did this, but you're actually creating even greater harm with this narrative. This is a woman who is sitting there, now paralyzed, saying, yeah, I did this, and I'm really sorry about it. And y'all are posting things of like, so we all agree the husband did it, right? No. By the way, if that was even possible, the defense would have been all over that. Today in court, Lindsay was asked by the judge if it was okay that the defense, agree to a lot of the facts that the prosecution has put forward so they can make the trial move even faster. She said yes to everything. She made it very clear that she understood what she was agreeing to. There are women who have been wrongly put on trial, but it's not Lindsay Clancy. Although I would argue, like, I don't want to see her go to prison. So there's that piece. But she is not wrongly accused of the crime. And you gotta stop.
Joanne.
To my fellow white women, you have to stop writing fan fiction about Lindsay Clancy. And
now, did y'all hear that one part, though?
That the prosecution has put forward so they can make the trial move even faster. She said yes to everything. She made it very clear that she understood what she was agreeing to. There are women who have been wrongly put on trial, but it's not Lindsay Clancy. Although I would argue, like, I don't want to see her go to prison. So
what? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
See, that's the part that I got a problem with right there. She gonna sit up here and say all that, but you don't want to see her go to prison, so she shouldn't pay for what she did? See, I got a problem with that, man. I got a real smooth problem with that. Like, that's crazy. That's what we doing? Yeah, okay, crazy, not crazy, whatever. Nah. No. You got to go. Look, but that's just me, though.
Clancy supporters, you guys need to be careful what you wish for. Because before all of this happened, there was a big difference between postpartum depression, anxiety, baby blues, feeling overstimulated, overwhelmed, having a bad day, versus having all-out psychosis and truly being at risk of harming your children. But by putting out there with you holding your baby that you relate to Lindsay Clancy, you are erasing the line between just having a bad day versus being someone who could hurt their kids. What you are saying is that you want any sign that a woman is struggling to be treated as the most extreme form of that. You don't want a bad day to be treated like a bad day. You want it to be a sign that you could be the next Lindsay Clancy. You think that what you're telling people is that women just need more help and resources and support, especially in early motherhood. But what you're telling people is that anytime a woman is struggling, she's actually on the verge of having a mental breakdown. What people are hearing is that having the baby blues might actually be a sign that a woman is ready to hurt her kids. And we're already seeing the consequences. Paralegals and lawyers are getting on social media and saying that they've had a drastic uptick in phone calls from men concerned about the well-being of their children, particularly when it comes to custody battle. And these lawyers are taking it seriously if the woman is online saying that she relates to a mom who strangled her kids. There are men breaking up with their girlfriends and canceling weddings because generally, if the woman that you're with says that she relates to somebody who took the lives of her kids, they don't want to risk having a family with that person. And just remember, when all is said and done and this case is over, these videos are going to be out there forever. Your support of a woman who brutally unalived her own children is going to be out there forever. And this might change how people view women's mental health, but I don't think it's going to be for the better.
Very, very interesting. I mean, as y'all see, it is going down in said community. Everybody has an opinion. It's either one or way. I'm just sitting back and seeing what's up. I ain't even got to what we had to say about it, but let's go.
A whack job.
ChatGPT, seriously, give me your honest opinion about this free Lindsay Pink rally protest. I think the Pink rally is fucking gross. Not because postpartum psychosis isn't real. It absolutely is. Not because Lindsay couldn't have been legally insane. There is serious evidence supporting that argument. But hundreds of people dressed in pink, forming hearts, holding signs like, "Peace for Lindsay," and "She needed help," gathering specifically to show her solidarity outside the trial for killing her 3 children. Girl, no. Cora was 5. Dawson was 3. Callan was 8 months old. They were strangled to death. Yet somehow the spectacle surrounding their deaths has developed a color scheme, slogans, and something resembling a fucking fandom. Want to rally for postpartum mental health reform? I'll hold the sign. Want to argue Lindsay wasn't criminally responsible? There's a legitimate argument. Want better psychiatric care so this never happens to another family? Absolutely. But Team Lindsay? There shouldn't be a fucking team. If there is one, it should be Team Cora, Dawson, and Callan. Mental illness may explain what Lindsay did. It may ultimately mean she belongs in psychiatric treatment rather than prison. It does not make the 3 children she killed supporting characters and movements centered around her. Compassion for Lindsay and advocacy for postpartum psychosis are completely compatible with remembering one brutal fact. Lindsay survived. Her children didn't. And if your maternal mental health rally makes people remember what color everyone wore for Lindsay before they remember the names Cora, Dawson, and Callan, you've lost the fucking plot.
You know it's bad when even AI thinks you're a whack job.
Chat.
Dang, hey, they going hard, man. They going hard. You know, I did a little scouring, man, so I can make sure. Look, not only the women are speaking up, but the men in the community are speaking up too with the women.
Can't make none of this up. After being off the internet for a few days due to the internet and power outages, I come back to find all you women are taking up for this Lindsay Clancy, a woman that literally took the life of her own children and admitted it. Are y'all okay? Like, for real, are you okay? The whole purpose of that trial is not to find out if she's innocent or guilty because she's been found guilty. The purpose of the trial is to find out if she's going to the nut house or to the penitentiary. Like, at this point, y'all might as well jump on board with Casey Anthony. Like, what are you doing with your life? I'm like genuinely curious of the rose-colored glasses that some of you have on that sees the picture of this world where you take up for a child killer. And you know, I just thank God every day for my wife who isn't like the ones who are taking up for this woman and that she sees the wickedness in her eyes. Y'all can scream and shout psychotic breakdown and psychosis and the medicine and all. This lady was doctor shopping constantly. I mean, y'all have got to where you want to virtue signal flag every single thing in this world. And sometimes there's no virtue to be found in what you're trying to signal for. There is no virtue in Lindsay Clancy. She took the life of her children, regardless of what you say and how you try to play it or say, oh, well, this... Some of y'all have empathy and you've developed suicidal empathy. Gotta stop. And you think it's just me? She has the same opinion. If you want to know what she thinks about the whole Lindsay Clancy situation, drop a comment and say, yeah, I want to hear her take. And she'll make a video on her own thing about the whole situation.
Look, they even on a one accord with that one. You know what I'm saying? I already told you where I stand with it, but look, the men are speaking up.
Clancy killed all 3 of her children, and this whole case is exposing how genuinely deranged a lot of women online are. There simply is no other way to say it. These women are deranged. And I'm not talking about the people who actually believe that she had postpartum psychosis and therefore isn't or wasn't criminally responsible. That's her actual defense, and I actually don't think that she's going to be convicted of first-degree murder. What? I'm talking about the women who are flat out claiming that she didn't kill her children. Just making stuff up, like even Lindsay Clancy herself, her whole defense team, her lawyers, her experts, all of them, they aren't claiming that. The whole argument in court right now is about her mental responsibility. Yet I open TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of these things to see women holding their babies to their chest, crying into the camera saying, "Me too, Lindsay." You too what? You didn't have postpartum psychosis, you had postpartum depression. Oh, you were anxious, you were overwhelmed, you felt disconnected after giving birth like a lot of women do? Okay, well that's not postpartum psychosis. They aren't the same thing. Postpartum psychosis is very rare. It affects roughly 1 or 2 out of every 1,000 births. And even if you do have it, you're probably not thinking about trying to kill your own kids, okay? And if you never experienced that, which is almost all of you women who are on camera crying, "Me too, Lindsay, let's stand with Lindsay," then no, you aren't Lindsay, okay? Stop defending her acting like you're the main character. You're not. Stop using the deaths of 3 children to make yourself the main character. You're not. And even if you did experience psychosis, which none of you did, that still doesn't mean that Lindsay didn't physically kill her children, which all of you for some reason think is not the case. All of these women are inventing an entirely different story. Oh, Patrick did it. The husband did it. He helped. Another man was inside. Well, he somehow caused everything. Well, there's missing fingerprints, so somebody else must have been in the house. Where is any of the evidence for this? Patrick, the husband, was gone for about 20 minutes running errands that Lindsay sent him to do, and she even looked up on her phone how long it would have taken for him to go to CVS and to a restaurant before he got back home. it is very clear she had the intention of killing her own kids.
Yep.
Does this mean she's going to be convicted of first-degree murder? Probably not, because in the state of Massachusetts, it is a very high legal bar and standard that must be met to prove that without a doubt, she was not experiencing psychosis, which is what they're going to have to prove. But all of the evidence has been corroborated. She was the only adult inside of the house, and when the husband got back, she told him that the children were in the basement, and he went down there and found all three of them with exercise bands around their necks. So all of these women who were saying, no, she didn't do it, are creating literal fan fiction and writing this over the death of 3 children's bodies. And why? Well, because Lindsay Clancy is a woman. That's it. A woman is accused, a man is available to blame, and suddenly the evidence doesn't matter. Not at all. The same tribal garbage we saw around Carmelo Anthony, with people turning a fatal stabbing into this racial loyalty test. Except this is worse because these women aren't even using Lindsay's psychosis defense. They're just inventing a whole different story saying that she didn't do it. You guys are deranged. Lindsay Clancy.
I like how he tried to throw the Carmelo in there, but whatever. I give him that. Hey, but women are really ticked off, though.
I found a new woman for you to celebrate, make your hero, and raise $1 million for. See, this mom was accused of all 3 of her children's throats. In fact, only one survived and is in critical condition. But I wonder how long before we're going to have some GoFundMes, some marches. See, I've noticed something. Ever since this Lindsay Clancy case, women have been feeling extremely comfortable coming out on social media and abusing their children. You have this woman who literally filmed herself pouring hot wax on her 2 daughters. You have this one that is quite literally throwing alcohol on her baby. And then you've got this mom that is proudly admitting that she gives her children cold showers.
Cold shower every time they have an accident. Works like a charm.
So in case you guys aren't aware, cold showers shock the system, which means as a human being, it is our natural instinct to resist freezing cold water. So it's not just sticking your child in the shower, making them stand there and cold water is running over them, because children don't do that. Children will naturally try to run away from the water. What it ends up happening is the mothers will actually hold the children down at the bottom of the bathtub and take the shower head and basically waterboard their children with freezing cold water. I know, because my mom used to do it to me as a kid. What's interesting is everybody seems to be so surprised, and I want to make it very clear. Lindsay Clancy did not invent this ideology that it's okay to do awful shit to children. All she did was highlight the women who didn't have the balls to say how much they hated their kids before, and were just waiting for the safe space in order to do so. So now they're coming out abusing their children, recording it. It's not like these photos have been leaked or anything. They're recording themselves doing it.
Something that I think a lot of people don't realize is that mothers don't owe their newborn baby anything.
What?
She doesn't owe the baby her time, her attention, her milk, none of that.
And everybody's acting shocked, but truthfully, I'm not. I have seen how you guys treat men. You laugh at their pain, turn everything that happens to them somehow around on them and make it their fault. So why would anybody think that women who view themselves superior over the opposite sex would somehow just have, like, what, morality towards children? Oh, but I forgot, guys. I forgot. Patrick Clancy trained the children to attack Lindsay Clancy, and it was purely self-defense. Yeah, that's right. Apparently, Callan was just doing, like, special ops missions in between bottles. 8-month-old. But I do want to be very careful and highlight that there are a lot of amazing mothers out there. And just because you're struggling with postpartum depression does not mean that you are a danger to your child. I'd like to highlight this mom who was also struggling with postpartum depression, and her house started to burn down, and she went inside and saved all of her children. Newsflash, she wasn't the one that started the fire either. So, hey.
It's good to have a ray of hope and sunshine, somebody with some critical thinking skills. You know what I'm saying? Able to just bust it down for what it really is. I can appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Unbiasedly, just on some logical, nothing wrong with that. This girl felt so scared she had to hide her face, but she wanted to level with her people, though. Listen.
To say is going to cause you to have a lot of big feelings, and that's because it's true, but you're not going to like it. You cannot say that what Lindsay Clancy did was acceptable or understandable or treated as such because of her postpartum depression or psychosis, because what men are hearing in some women, even including myself, with the way some of you guys put it and even act the way you act around this case, is you're basically saying that women are so emotional that they unalive their kids. And if women are so emotional that happens, We are too emotional to have rights. We are too emotional to vote. We are too emotional to make decisions about society. We are too emotional to make decisions about ourselves. Therefore, they are going to take our rights away. And I'm saying this to you as a fucking Republican who has a reasonable doubt about this case. You need to knock it off. Cases like this and your reaction to them is going to get women to have their rights taken away. Your rights are only as good as you can defend them. And the way you guys are acting, you're making it very hard to defend it. What I'm about to say is going to cause you to...
That's pretty interesting. I mean, listen, I'm scouring around and I'm getting perspectives from people from their side of the, hey, that was an interesting perspective. She say we are not the same, so don't get us confused.
The fact that there are women out there saying, same, Lindsay. Same, Lindsay. I want to murder my kids. Same, Lindsay. You know, I feel so bad. Let me meticulously plan how to strangle my 3 helpless children in the basement while I send my husband to run errands. Same, Lindsay. I understand the feeling of wanting to destroy the very things that I birthed into this world. Same, Lindsay. That's absurd and demonic and evil. And it's the same mindset that allows women to have abortions without any consequence. Oh, but there are consequences. There definitely are physical, mental, spiritual consequences. And she deserves to do the time for the crime. Yes, I have experienced postpartum myself. But there are a million other things you can do to get rid of your children before murdering them.
Right.
Instead of murdering them.
Right.
How about dropping them off at the nearest fire department? How about dropping them off at anyone's house that you know?
Right.
How about just saying, I don't want my kids, someone come get them, I'm leaving. Regardless of how horrific that is as a mother, it's still better than killing your children.
Right.
So, no, same, Lindsay. No, we're not the same.
Yeah. And that's just as real as it gets. Sometimes you might not be able to take it. Sometimes you might need to, you know what I'm saying? And that's for the mothers, you know, who be moving to different states that be by themselves. They might not got no family or nobody to trust. They do got fire departments and all of that. And you can go drop your shorties off and they will allow you the space to get yourself together. You just got to make sure that you good coming back to get them. This is real, man. It's real out here. And don't think all the women is with it, because some women ain't playing.
Lindsay Clancy admitted to strangling her own 3 children to death and has raised $715,000. I mean, this woman admitted that she waited for her husband to leave the house, took her 3 children down to the basement, lined them up, and then systematically strangled them one by one to death. Then slit her own wrists and throat and jumped out of a 2nd-story window. And now a fundraiser has been set up for her with a goal of $2 million, and it has already raised $715,000. I'm not saying that there aren't things we can talk about here. Postpartum psychosis, which doesn't seem to fit the bill for her story, and which doctors have testified she did not have. Postpartum issues in general, prescription drugs, and whether or not people should be given 15 SSRIs and Tic Tac dispensers and sent on their merry way. But if you hold that DeCarlos Brown, who had a documented history of mental health problems, was still responsible and should be held accountable for stabbing Irina Zarutska to death on a train, then you must hold that Lindsay Clancy is responsible and should be held accountable for strangling her own 3 children. I just wasn't thinking clearly cannot be a get out of jail free card for murdering innocent people. I mean, if we're going to start asking the hard questions here, one of them needs to be why in the world our society has started sympathizing with murderers to the tune of hundreds of thousands of donations to the Luigi Mangionis and the Carmelo Anthonys and now the Lindsay Clancys. Because, well, you might not agree with what they did, but you can see why they did it. That is psychotic. And a culture that begins identifying with the murderers more than they demand justice for their innocent victims is well and truly screwed. Lindsay Clancy admitted to strangling her own 3 children to death and has raised $715,000. I mean, this woman admitted that she waited for her husband to leave the house.
I just want that money part to play again. God. She busting it down into the last compound. Busting it down to the last compound. The women on the side, they over there tripping though. They're not playing.
You're seeing all these women on social media blaming Patrick Clancy and trying to say that Lindsay Clancy was innocent and Patrick really murdered the children or he was guilty by not being a good enough husband. I want you to find comfort in the fact that all of the women making these claims haven't actually watched the trial. Because if they did, they would note that both the prosecutor and the defense agree that Patrick went above and beyond. This guy took paternity leave every time his children was born. He then started working from home the moment Lindsay started struggling. He had an extra paternity account where he put money aside for her so that she could stay off work longer just in case her job as a nurse didn't give her enough time off. This guy had her a nanny with every single one of her children that were there for up to 12 hours a week. This guy did everything above and beyond as a father. He even questioned the medical professionals asking if they were over-medicating his wife. The facts of the matter show is that Lindsay Clancy came to her husband and was like, I think I'm struggling with mental health. I think I'm going to go on Zoloft. And he's like, yeah, sure, honey. I support you. Little did Patrick know, she had already been on Zoloft. Apparently, her symptoms started worsening, which I find very interesting because she actually removed Patrick's ability to even notice that she was struggling by conveniently asking him to go sleep in the basement. And when he wouldn't, she then went and slept in the basement so that she could report to him that she's having trouble sleeping, but he couldn't actually verify any of this information. She then says that when she talked to her doctors, which I think I figured out, by the way, why women aren't blaming the doctors and only blaming Patrick, and that's probably because every single one of the doctors that Lindsay saw was a woman. But nonetheless, she goes to these female doctors, and apparently the female doctor told her that if she's having trouble sleeping and is getting a little depressed on the Zoloft, she needs to double her dose. That's what Lindsay told her husband. But the matter of the fact actually shows is that when Lindsay was being prescribed Zoloft, she only took 7 pills, despite claiming that the medication was worsening her condition. Patrick Clancy went above and beyond for his wife. This is not a case of, oh, well, the man did it. The man was just so neglectful. I have never seen a husband take paternity, put money aside for his wife in case the job doesn't give her enough time off. I've never seen a man pay for a nanny, continue to work from home. Yet you guys have the nerve to sit back and try to blame him. You guys aren't watching the trial. You're watching TikTok moms on Xanax who just hate men so much that they're pushing their own narrative. Y'all deserve no dick, no empathy, no nothing. You're
She said you can't get no love stick. Gosh, she busted that all the way down. Sheesh. Hey, hold up. Did y'all know that there's this other trend with the ice throwing and all that? Wait a minute. It gets deep, y'all. Check it out.
You are a woman who's throwing ice into the bathtub to keep from hurting your children. The throwing of ice in a bathtub is not going to fix it. As a matter of fact, this is only an open invitation to be led or influenced the same way Lindsay was.
The voice was of a male, and it was loud. The voice said to the effect of, you should kill the kids. This is your last chance so that you can kill yourself.
To your own children. Because this is an invitation or something else to fill it or minister to you, there is also one who desires to minister to you, that it is only by him that you are saved from doing anything, not only to yourself, but to your precious children. The Lord
Did y'all see that video with the woman throwing the water on her baby and the woman putting the hot wax on her baby? Oh, it gets deep. I didn't know that she was doing her spiritual thing, but somebody needs some cleansing. I'm gonna let her rock out.
Christ, who died for your very sins, and hear this, even for your mental health, that your mind may be renewed and transformed by the power of his word, and that your mind stop being the devil's playground, using it against your own children. And many people aren't gonna like this, and that's okay. But I am tired of pacifying mental illness. I know what it's like to be admitted into a psychiatric ward. I know what it's like to hear voices. But I've heard one voice, the only good shepherd, the Lord Jesus Christ. This is an invitation for every Mary Magdalene who understands oppression, who understands the voices of 7 demons, to come in and tell women, hear this, the same thing Mary Magdalene had to tell the disciples. Not only was she seen, but what she heard from the Lord Jesus. He is alive, and he is the only deliverer that can save you from this thing. You are...
Man, they need, look, they need something. They need something. I'm not even mad at her. I'm not. No, I'm not mad. No. I'm gonna let her go ahead and have that. Somebody need to do something over these evil spirits about these children. What is going on? Now, when we talk about all of these problems, my man introduced a solution. Oh, somebody was thinking solution-based. Let's hear it.
Okay, just so I'm clear, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but now that we know women support the justification of unaliving their own children due to postpartum, surely you would also support a law put in place that the moment you are diagnosed with postpartum, you give up your parental rights to father your children. I mean, that is if we're worried about the safety of the children. I mean, you wouldn't knowingly leave your precious children with a schizo, would you? I mean, if you're incapable of controlling your emotions to the point that you may hurt your child or take their life, yeah, you don't deserve to be the parent. Or is this one of these girl math situations, 1 + 1 = 3 type shit? Or one of these women empowerment things where we only care about the woman and not the children? I mean, after all, it is our job as the adult to protect the young, innocent children. And if the mother is in a position where she's mentally unstable to the point that she can go batshit crazy, then rightfully the father should be awarded custody of those children. I mean, you're picking up what I'm putting down, right? Like, this is one of those things, be careful what you ask for, ladies, because you might get what the fuck you want that you really don't want. We call this rational thinking versus emotional thinking.
What's wrong with the father taking the children if it's like that? I don't know. The brother had a point now. I mean, come on now. I bet you if that was the case, I bet you that postpartum would stop real damn quick. I bet you it wouldn't be no postpartum no damn more. I bet you that. I bet you that'll slow up. I bet you they'll get it together and figure it out. My grandma was... Anyway, listen to this.
I am not surprised that a bunch of women are going to bat and putting their arms around Lindsay Clancy. Women in general right now are lame. Women are killing their own children all the time in the womb because they're just not ready, or they're just not in the headspace right now to have a kid. Or the guy, he just is not someone I want to be connected to for the rest of my life, but I will keep having sex with him. Let's just go snuff this baby. Let's just, annihilate it and suck it out of my womb, because women's empowerment, women's health. I don't care about being unpopular. I don't care if a bunch of women are going to go after me for saying this. You can't just kill your kids. There's just no excuse. I don't care if you're married to a selfish man. I don't care if you are in a depressed state. I don't care, okay? You don't murder your kids.
She's entitled to her opinion. And I can respect somebody who say what they need to say, how they need to say it, when they need to say it. I'm Jay Live. I'm letting the people speak now. Everybody has a right to say what they need to say. You understand what I'm saying? That's how she feel about it. You understand what I'm saying? That's her thoughts. You understand? They got some. Look, they got some real strong thoughts too. Hold on now. Don't think the community is not being outspoken, because they are.
This was your take on the Lindsay Clancy thing? Not that, hey, I shouldn't murder my children just because I have some spicy brain every now and then. No, it's, she's a victim and we need to help out other women and mothers. So here's my way of helping out mothers. If you have any inkling of bonding to Lindsay Clancy because same Lindsay, you should go ahead and give up your kids. They are clearly not safe with you. Because if you think that because I have spicy brain, it's okay for me to go ahead and kill my kids because I couldn't help it. They're just ceramic vases that I said, oopsie, I broke it, my bad. Then you don't need to be a mother. You don't need to have custody of those children. Because clearly, if something goes wrong in your day and you snap, kill your child, you and all your little female girlfriends are going to come and support you, and it's okay. It was just a ceramic vase. Don't look at them as children. I was a single mom for 10 years, and I am all for helping out single moms when they need the help. But helping out a single mom is not making them feel like it is okay to go and kill your kids because you had a rough day. These children are not your freaking accessories. They are children. They are living, breathing human beings. I joke about this, but go ahead. Repeal the 19th Amendment. Go ahead. I volunteer as tribute. I will give up my vote if it keeps these women from voting. And I know I'm pissing off women when I say this stuff because my analytics show it. I went from about a 60% following of women to 25%. Women do not like accountability, and they damn sure don't like another woman calling them out, telling them that you're being an evil garbage piece of human trash. This is what policing our own looks like, ladies, and clearly y'all don't like it. Buckle up, sweet cheeks, because it ain't going nowhere. Oh, and make sure you guys come check out me and my husband live.
Yeah, I appreciate her. Woo! She set fire to those buttocks, didn't she? Very strong and opinionated. But let's talk about the elephant in the room now. Yeah, because black people got something to say about it too. And the elephant in the room is Lindsay Grace's case is showing who gets empathy in America. Let's do it.
Clancy is a prime example of in America, if you don't fit the description of the crime, you're not the cookie cutter ideal suspect, that people will make up any justification for you. Okay, no, we've seen it. We've seen it 1,000 times. We've seen it over and over again. We've seen it play out. And anybody who says they haven't seen it play out, you're full of shit. It's called the halo effect. She was a labor and delivery nurse. She lived in a Cape Cod home. She was middle upper class. She was educated. She was a mother who loved her children. And she was white. That's the trump card. So, because this tragedy is an atrocity and it's hard to process, okay, that a loving mother, educated mother, nurse, wife, middle-class American cookie cutter girl next door would do this doesn't sit right with the rest of the privileged white women in America. Okay, it just doesn't sit right with them. And that's why LaTarsha Adams' trial was only 9 days and Lindsay Clancy's is still going on indefinitely. LaTarsha wasn't even allowed to present medical records stating, her mental health records or anything to this. She didn't even have that opportunity. But we have, I guess Massachusetts courts has unlimited time because this is white supremacy tears. Whether you guys care to acknowledge it or not, the only white women who get offended by this rhetoric are the white women who bask in privilege. Okay, the only other women that get offended by this rhetoric are women who bask in privilege. I want to say shout out to all of the Caucasian women who are using their platform to bring light to this and saying, if you guys don't see the racial disparity in this, then I don't know what the fuck to tell you because it's bright as day. And so, no, we naturally don't want to make this about race because it's about the children and it's about justice and it's about how the system failed Lindsay. Right. But we're not going to act like race doesn't have a part to play in it. And if you don't think race has a part to play in it, then consider yourself lucky because you're on the privileged end. You're on the Lindsay Clancy end. But me as a black mother, even though you guys know me, whatever, and I could be going through a psychosis, I could share my whole journey on here with you guys. If I did that to my children, okay, I would fit the description, okay, and I would never get the same luxury that Lindsay Clancy had as a mother who strangled her children. And I said what I said. And you guys are uncomfortable with it. And if anybody's uncomfortable with my message, it's because you sit on the side of privilege. Most women do not know that they're under psychosis. They do not know that they're under postpartum. Okay, Lindsay knew a lot of shit. Okay, so nobody's saying that she should not be charged. She should not be charged with reason. I think she's not guilty by reason of insanity because she did have a psychosis trip out. In my mind, that's what I believe. But doesn't mean she's not guilty. Lindsay Clancy is a prime example of in America. If you don't fit the...
That's the sister's opinion. You can't tell her not to see it from her from her site from her point of view. At some point I had to get to what our folks have to say. And look, y'all think I was being hyperbolic by saying them folks' children is at risk. Y'all thought I was being funny. I'm not the only one saying it. Oh no, I'm not the only one saying it.
Those children. See, research shows that black children are 55% more likely to go into foster care than white children, having the exact same living standards or having the exact same chance to have future maltreatment. But then it gets worse. See, when CPS get in contact with these families, white children are more likely to experience maltreatment than black children when left with their family. How can you know that and still leave these white children with their mothers and their fathers? And what makes it even worse is that this woman told her sister that she felt like harming her children, and her sister was a social worker and didn't do nothing about it. The most dangerous thing to white children is white privilege. Why didn't she tell anybody? She should lose her damn job. Then these people raised over $1 million for the family. For what? A child killer? Do you know what this means? That means that all those people who donated money, they feel like harming their children, killing their children. See, we have to send CPS to these white neighborhoods. These white children are in dire need for somebody to come and save them, or else they're going to die.
I told y'all it's an epidemic out here. Commend that brother for standing up for such a noble cause, because it don't seem like nobody else is going to stand up for it. You understand what I'm saying? Oh yeah, oh yeah, the people got something to say about it too.
Y'all want to see how far our society has fallen in just a short couple years?
Stop thinking about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases for just 1 second for me, okay? I'm a forensic scientist and a former CSI. There was a lot of confusion about the actual issue in the Lindsay Clancy case.
What did you say? Think of them like what?
As ceramic vases.
It's fallen in just a short couple years.
Stop thinking about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases for just 1 second for me, okay? I'm a forensic scientist and a former CSI. There was a lot of confusion about the actual issue in the Lindsay Clancy case. The issue is whether she was in psychosis at the moment that she killed her children, which would make her not criminally responsible.
Those kids were murder victims, not ceramic vases. This PhD woman then goes on to make this ridiculous analogy about epilepsy and being in a museum with ceramic vases and accidentally bumping them. It's stupid stuff. They're not ceramic vases. They were children who were strangled to death by their mother. The son that you saw in that picture, they said his eyes were bulging out of his head. He was choked so bad. You women have lost the plot. Our society is over. Just a short couple years ago, literally objectifying murder victim children would have got you canceled across this internet. But you go into that woman's comment section and they're like, yeah, see, I can understand. And it's across the board. I even saw Candace Owens, a person who I normally respect, get on here and say that she thinks Lindsay Clancy is innocent because of the pills and stuff. Hey, you know what? It's like I said before, it's a lot of people taking illicit drugs and all kinds of stuff, do all types of crimes. We don't let them off just because they're in a psychosis or in a drug-induced whatever.
Right.
Y'all are sick people. Y'all society is sick and it's over. And when we talk about the male loneliness epidemic, because y'all bring that up, it's male loneliness epidemic. I don't think that males are necessarily lonely because we don't have access to y'all bodies. Obviously, y'all bodies are for sale. Y'all get on here, y'all put a price on it. It's easy to get next to y'all in proximity physically. Where males are lonely, where we're lonely, is that we can't relate to y'all anymore. Y'all are celebrating and fantasizing. Y'all will do everything in the world to go literally around the universe to avoid accountability by saying, oh, it's a psychosis, she didn't kill her kid. We don't relate on the mental level. As far as getting that off, oh yeah, y'all good at that.
Nah, hold on. I ain't man. That's a something else. Brother, you online with a do rag and a wife beater, fam. I that's another issue. You was on something there, but I got to cut your wisdom right there. We ain't with the female male war thing. Just because look, you're not performing well, bro. That's a different story, brother. Come on now. See, you can't mix the two. See, he trying to go in on the females and all of that. This dude. Before I get into what some of the other people in the community got to speak about, I like this attorney. Plus, she looked cute too. But she had broke down her professional lawyered up opinion, and she said it's layered. But I want to see. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, so we're gonna explore this one together. But I want to see if she's telling the truth or is she giving an excuse.
For the last 2 weeks, and you guys have been wanting my opinion. I am a trial attorney and I have a lot to say. It's going to be a long video. Grab your snacks. The first thing I want to touch on is my favorite conspiracy theories. You guys, I don't know what field you're in, but honey, you've missed your calling. Why are you not in the CIA, the FBI? Because clearly you guys are talented. I know a good 99.9% of the internet believes that her husband Patrick actually did all of this. And I am having a wonderful time with all the demonstrations of you connecting the dot and putting the whole pieces to the puzzle together. But none of it matters, guys. Even if you're right, it doesn't even matter. Her own attorney, in his opening statement, told the jury she killed her kids. She did it. We're not here to argue that. She killed her kids, but she lacked the criminal mens rea. We'll get into what that is. She lacked the mental capacity to appreciate the crime because she was insane. So as much as you guys have wonderful theories, I mean, you guys are doing it. I am very proud of you. I know most of you guys have to be my followers because you're very smart. And I love the critical thinking. But it doesn't matter because that is not even before the jury.
That is such the intellectual dig, and she is so cute for that. That is such the way to clown people without clowning people. Get his sister a hand. Her, she's firing on all cylinders, I must say. I get her intellectually okay.
Not even charged. Literally, the fact that her attorney said she did it and pointed at her tells you that the rest of his case to come is not even about pointing the finger at Patrick. Like, none of that is being presented. The prosecution hasn't pointed the finger at Patrick. Her lawyer's not about to point the finger at Patrick. He's literally going to be, mark my words, honing in on her mental state. All of his witnesses are probably going to be other mental health professionals to debunk everything that the prosecutors have been doing. Patrick is not on the hook. Not today, at least. Now, I can't speak for 10 years from now. But y'all, let's move on. I want to jump in by talking about the prosecution's theory because there's no good trial, honey, without a good theory. The theory is the story. I've told you guys time and time again, an awesome trial attorney is an awesome storyteller.
Okay.
It's just as important as knowing the law.
Yeah,
because you can know the law you want, but if you can't captivate your audience, if the jury is over there nogging on, playing Candy Crush, we got a problem.
Right.
So their theory is that she deliberately created an opportunity to get her husband out the house so she can get rid of her kid.
Right.
They're alleging that she was of sound mind the week before, the day before, the morning of, that she took her child to a doctor's appointment that morning, that she was communicating with the other health professionals, advocating for her child, explaining the things her child was going through and why they were there that day, trying to get help for her daughter. Then when the pediatrician gave instructions on what they needed to do, she made sure she found a CVS that could accommodate that. Then when she told her husband go get that, she did place the dinner order. Because you know, ladies, we can't trust our husbands to place the dinner order. You know, they're going to forget a sauce, condiment, side, utensil, something. So she even made sure that dinner was right. And said, go get that too. And then come home. So they're saying, so she was fine all up until her husband left the house and then she became insane. That's their argument. And the prosecutors are basically painting a picture. Don't be fooled. She didn't just all of a sudden become insane when he left to go to CVS and grab the dinner. That we're going to have all her mental health professionals to come and explain to you how, yeah, she was going through postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, and maybe sprinkle in a little bipolar there, but she was not insane. She was not in psychosis. And she told her doctor the day before unaliving that she had no thoughts of, you know, going anywhere else beyond the clouds, or to harm anyone else either. And then the day comes. What they are alleging is that she was going through mental health challenges, and she made it to a breaking point. She didn't want to be with us anymore. But she also was a control freak, and she didn't want to leave her kids behind either. So she was like, since I got to dip, bringing my kids with me. That is what they're saying she did. Do I think they're doing a good job? I'm going to save that for the end. Now let's jump to the defense theory. The defense is like, this is not a woman who was alleging that she had mental problems after she was arrested. It was like, oop, insane. Basically, she was begging for help wherever she could find it. And they failed her. Every provider, every healthcare professional, the state, everyone failed her.
She was good the day before.
Tricky, delicate dance. Because just because you have a mental illness does not mean you lack the mental capacity to know what you're doing is wrong. Okay? So we need to now get into what is the actual legal definition of criminal insanity. Because you can be diagnosed with a mental illness and still know you're committing a crime.
Right.
So let's talk about that.
Let's talk
First
about it.
semester of law school, shout out to Judge April Walker, who was my professor, explained to the class what insanity was in the best way we could understand in our first year law school mind. But I won't forget it. We were reading a case and I forgot what the guy did, but he committed a crime. I don't remember what he did, but he committed a crime.
Yeah.
And the police showed up. He didn't even understand why he was being arrested. He was like, "Why are you arresting me? Get away from me."
Right.
He didn't even realize what he had did was wrong. He didn't even understand why they was putting him in the clanker. He was like, "Why am I here?" That's basically insane. You don't even know what you did was wrong. If you know what you did was wrong, you're not insane. If you have no idea what you did was even wrong, insane. You got to remember here that neither one of them, both sides, I know you guys have your theories, but you have to remember that neither side is saying that Lindsay didn't do it. They're both saying she did it.
Okay.
The state is saying she's criminally responsible, throw her in the clanker.
Right.
Her lawyer is saying she did it, but she's severely mentally ill. She needs to be in a mental institution, not prison. What the state has to do when we have a crime of murder, you have to prove actus reus and mens reus. Actus reus is the actual act.
Okay.
Whatever you did to kill somebody, right? We know what she did to her kids. That's the act.
Right.
But you also have to have the mens rea. That is the mental capacity to know what you're doing is wrong. And that is what this entire trial is about. Did she have the mental capacity at the time? Not the night before, an hour before, not an hour after. At the moment she was doing that act. Did she have mental capacity?
Right.
That is what this trial boils down to. Do I think the prosecutors are doing a good job? Who do I think is putting on a better case? The prosecutors are not doing a good job. I'm not going to even hold you. Her attorney is the better lawyer. You can tell that he's the better attorney when you watch this trial. The state, these bowls. I don't think it's coming off the way she thinks it's coming off. What she's trying to do is invoke sympathy from the jury, basically like, I'm wearing this bow for Cora. I'm here to fight for Cora. Cora liked bows, and we're here to remember Cora.
Right.
It's not coming off like that. Now, had I been representing Lindsay, I would have tagged the bows in my opening statement. Because I'd be like, you see that over there? Her and them bows trying to invoke sympathy. I know you guys are smarter than that, members of the jury. Because I know you're going to think the reason why Cora likes bows is because she had a mother who combed her hair and made sure she had her bows, made sure she had all the bells and whistles, made sure she felt pretty. So when she walked out the door, she knew, baby, I am Cora. Her mother loved her, nurtured her, poured into her. Cora loves bows because of this woman right here. That's what I would have been. By the time I was done with her day one, you wouldn't have seen a bow ever again. Another problem. I don't know if this is the difference between working for someone and not working for someone. And I am going to give the prosecutor a little bit of grace. They work for the state. They do not get to select which cases they try. We don't even know. These two could maybe not even agree with what they're up there saying, but they have a job to do. They don't get to select which cases they try or not, like I can. They work for the state. The state says, here, try this case, and that's what they have to get up there and do their best. But I invested in myself when I knew that I was going to be a trial attorney. I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars taking extensive trial courses. These got to stop. That was the first thing that they nipped in the bud in my very first extensive trial course where we went away for a week and had to try a crazy massive case at the end of the class. And ands are the first thing you ask me.
Right.
What is happening? Another problem. Too much unnecessary testimony. What are y'all doing? Like, what are y'all doing? Are you literally just putting everybody on the witness stand and being like, here you go. One of these theories is going to work. Here you go. Well, y'all going to believe one of these people. That is not how you try a case. Like, when Reddington said that's what you came to testify about? The fact that you was the cop that was standing outside the door while she was unconscious, while she was sleeping in the bed? That's what you was here to do? Waste our time? We are here to talk about, did she have the mental capacity at the moment she committed the crime? Did she or did she not? Why am I listening to 50 different law enforcement officers? Why did you bore me to tears today about forensics? We don't need to hear any of that. We are here. We need to hear from the mental health professionals. We need to hear from her husband about her behavior, leading up. That's who we need to be hearing from. Don't put another cop, another forensic person up there. I mean, honestly, what did we need the autopsy for? We know how the children died. Are you just not just trying to torture her? You trying to torture me? Like, think about the poor jury. Like, I deal in craziness. I'm a family law attorney and I'm also a personal injury attorney. My world is nothing but crazy. But can you imagine the poor jury having to sit there and see the things that they've had to see? Hear the things that they've had to hear? I heard that 911 call was awful. I heard them autopsy photos. The children was just, and you know what people do in autopsy. I mean, could you imagine? Like, the state. Are you well? Like, are you trying to mess up your own case? Miss Lady with the bows, if you are just within earshot of my voice, let me just give you a little bit of advice. Not that you asked for it, but you need it. The jury are people. And it just boils down to just understanding how people are just simply made up. We're not that complex. There are attorneys who have won trials that they should have lost. There are attorneys who've lost trials that they should have won. And it has nothing to do with the merits of the case. It all boiled down to being liked. They might just go against you because they can't stand you. Do you know how much I've gotten away with? Simply because I'm charismatic and I know how to try a good case. I know how to put on a good story. The jury, the judge, everybody be like this when I'm speaking. Holding on to every word.
Just like I am right now.
Sometimes with the things I get away with, I'd be surprised. Because I'm like, oh, honey, I wasn't expecting this much of a victory. But then again, I know what I'm doing. Hey, wrap it up. Let's get to the good stuff. I cannot wait to see the case that Reddington puts on. I know he's going to bring some awesome expert witnesses that are going to slaughter every mental health professional that the state put on the stand. Like, did you trust these people when they were about to testify? Did you think that they were about to get up here and tell a good story that helped your case? That girl literally said, I don't care what the papers say. I'm saying, I was like, what? I know as soon as she got off the stand, whoever's over the medical licensure, it's the bar for attorneys. Whoever's over the doctors, I know they was ringing her line, ring-a-ling-a-ling. May I speak to Dr. Tuff? Hey, baby, you in trouble. As a doctor, as someone who has spent majority of their life in school, working hard to get where you are, how can you not care about your license? Like, in a second, girl, you might have just messed up your whole career. Like, what was in it was something about pressured speech. If you made a typo, baby, that was a way to do it. You could have just said, oh, that's a typo on my end. I sincerely apologize. I will make sure that gets corrected. What I meant to put was no pressured speech. I understand the record says pressured speech and you can do what you need with that. But please understand that in my testimony, what I meant to put was no pressured speech. And I apologize for the typo and the misrepresentation.
She's very smart.
That's all you had to do. And honey, I'm not even trying hard. Like, that's just straight off the dome. Like, you don't know how to wiggle your way out of something. But saying, I don't care what the medical record says. Whew, this is a wild case. But all in all, my empathy, my sympathy are with the children that lost their lives. Rest in peace to Cora, Callan, and Dawson. I want to know what you guys think. And be free to tell me more of your conspiracy theory.
Yo, she broke that down. She had me captivated. I'm just telling you like it is. Now, if some of y'all just came in here, this is what we talking about.
Of Lindsay Clancy's supporters rallied outside the courthouse today where she's on trial for murder in the killing of her 3 children. It was the largest crowd of supporters so far, many wearing clothes emblazoned with phrases like peace for Lindsay and she needed help. That's a reference to the condition Clancy's defense team argues makes her not responsible for the crime. Postpartum psychosis is a rare but treatable illness, as our Chanel Call shows us in conversation with another young mother who survived it.
I ain't going to play the whole video because they go into some other jargon about this, that, and the third, and blue, 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 blue. But everybody is not so tidy with their message. My man say kiss my butt.
Postpartum depression, my ass. Lindsay Clancy's children had to watch their mother squeeze the life out of each one of their eyes for multiple minutes before dying in one of the most painful, drawn out ways that one could die. Save me the yap. We know that these pharmaceutical companies have no one's best interest in mind. We know that SSRIs are literally ruining lives. I would even be willing to agree with the take that says maybe these companies should start being held liable for a lot of these crimes in some sort of capacity. But I fail to believe that there is a single pharmaceutical on this planet that would allow me or my wife to bury our hands into the necks of our children and watch as their souls leave their bodies. Not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Right.
This was not mercy, this was malice. I never want to hear another lecture about the pink tax after y'all gave this woman $800,000 of y'all's own money. I never want to hear another lecture about how there's no support for single mothers, which is why we need abortions, when y'all gave this woman $800,000 of y'all's own money. And I'll just address the elephant in the room and say that this movement obviously would not be sweeping the nation had it been a man that strangled his children and failed to kill himself because he was a little depresso espresso. These women would obviously not be making arguments about how it's actually society's fault that men are acting this way. The biggest example of this is how the male loneliness epidemic has been turned into a meme for these people. They turn into conservatives. They tell us to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go get a job, nig. Men are obviously not offered these same liberties. And I'll say this, it's truly an honor to not be afforded the same grace as the ones within our society that lack accountability or self-determination. I can appreciate that we're being held to a higher standard because in some way, maybe men should be held to a higher standard. But if that's the case, then in what way can we actually entertain the idea that we're truly equal in this republic? If you truly believe that this is a common sentiment for most women in this society, if it's the hormones, the pregnancy, the pills, the periods, the support, the lack of it, if there's all these excuses that we think would allow women to be exonerated after slaughtering their own children, then they are clearly volitionless. And now you have to explain to me why we should afford them the same rights.
Damn. That's an interesting opinion. Just like my man was getting on old girl talking about imagine these kids is
Stop thinking about these kids as people and think about them as ceramic vases for just 1 second for me, okay?
How about no? I will not be gaslit into dehumanizing the 3 innocent victims while also being asked to humanize the perpetrator, Lindsay Clancy, into being the victim. This kind of manipulation and gaslighting is equitable to female witchcraft.
Stop thinking.
He just called it witchcraft straight out the box. My man Soul Child has something to say about it too.
And if Lindsay Clancy was a dark-skinned black woman that told her black husband to go on an errand, he come back and his 3 dead babies, and they died from strangulation, postpartum depression or not, bitch, you think white women will be up in arms, dressing in pink, going to her trial? We support you, Lindsay. No, I think they would want that dark-skinned black woman to be smurdered on a tree with some rope. I'm actually pretty certain that that's exactly how white women would be toward Lindsay Clancy if Lindsay Clancy was a black woman. Hell, I'll even up in the stakes. If Lindsay Clancy was a trans woman. Yeah, think about that one. And if Lindsay Clancy was a dark-skinned black woman.
Hold on, he ain't the only one that said that though. I just want to make sure that we really talk about it though.
Was not white. If Lindsay Clancy was not white, would you still support her? I asked that question because LaTarsha Sanders, like Lindsay Clancy, she killed her 2 children. She didn't strangle them to death like Lindsay Clancy did. No, she used a knife and she stabbed them to death. She stabbed him over 100 times. One son was stabbed like 80 times. The other son was stabbed like 20 times. Now, LaTarsha was convicted of these murders. But guess what? Now, due to the Lindsay Clancy case, she's going to get a new trial. Why? Because the judge, who just happens to be the same judge presiding over Lindsay Clancy case, and the DA, screwed up. And they overlooked medical evidence or medical records. So now LaTarsha is going to get another trial. Are you women going to support her too? Are you going to put together a GoFundMe to fund her defense team? Are you going to start wearing pink shirts or some other color and show of support and solidarity with LaTarsha Sanders? I'll wait, because I doubt that that's going to happen.
Very interesting point. Very interesting point, I might add. You know? Some people ain't polished with their message. She said she just getting raw with it. She said what the hell she said.
So you want to go there? Well, baby, you better strap in. Let me say this loud and clear for all the white liberal women in the way back. There is never, nor will there ever, be a justifiable reason or excuse to murder a child. Secondly, let me make this little observation. The same women who are out here cheering and rooting and supporting Lindsay Clancy in this case are the same damn women who will call CPS on you if they catch you disciplining your children in public. Furthermore, not only should Lindsay Clancy go to prison, so should her husband Patrick and the grandmother. Because who in their right damn minds would not step in if they heard their wife or their daughter utter the words that she's having thoughts about harming their children? That is an immediate red flag. And I'm not saying you need to strip the children away from her, but you need to step in and make sure there is continuous supervision. Give her support. Try to find better help for the mother. The moment she told Patrick to go on an errand, I would have been like, hell no, dog. Nope. I'm sitting right here. Or the kids are going with me. Not because he hates his wife or whatever, but because he loves his children and he knows his wife is struggling. Oh my God. Let me just go ahead and end this video here with this last note of where I stand in this whole case. And I want you to hear me very freaking clearly when I say this. The only people that I have sympathy for in this whole case are the 3 children who innocently lost their lives because nobody in that damn family gave 2 shits about protecting the children.
I gotta give it to her. You know what I'm saying? The father, from what I'm understanding, the father was kind of weak. Yep. Gotta give it to her. Oh yeah, look. Hold on. They snapping out over there now. Don't think that everybody is in agreement.
I'm going to ruffle some feathers when I say this, and that's okay. All of you women that are standing up and saying, oh, I stand with Lindsay Clancy, I am Lindsay Clancy, and making videos holding your kids, talking about Lindsay, same, I understand why you did it. Every single one of y'all needs CPS involved, and you need to have welfare check done on your kids because you do not need to be parents. None of y'all. The fact that y'all want to relate so bad to a woman that murdered her kids is absolutely diabolical to me. It's insane. I can't wrap my head around it. I just absolutely can't understand it. And there's thousands of y'all screaming that you understand why this woman did what she did. If y'all can really relate to this woman and you can understand why she did what she did, then please give your children to somebody safe. Take them somewhere that are away from you and they're safe, because it's absolutely crazy work. She was over-medicated and she was begging for help and never got it. Bullshit. She was not over-medicated. Talk screen proved that she was not. And she wasn't begging for help. She was seeing multiple doctors and multiple therapists, and she was never honest with any of them. But okay. She told one therapist she hadn't drank in years, told the other therapist she was drinking every day. And I don't care. Y'all can argue in the comments, argue with your mama. You're never going to convince me this woman did not calculate and murder her kids. And I don't care if that man was cheating. I don't care if he was banging the entire county. It does not give her a right nor a reason to fly off the handle and murder her children. She was in psychosis. You don't know that. And she was never, ever, ever diagnosed with postpartum psychosis. Not once was she. Not once. But see, and that's another thing y'all seem to confuse. Y'all seem to be confusing psychosis with postpartum depression. Big difference there. Humongous difference there. And then I keep seeing all these videos. Well, I understand what it's like, and I understand because I had PPD, and I understand where Lindsay's coming from. If you have PPD and you can understand where Lindsay's coming from, I'm going to say it again. Give your kids to somebody safe. Give your kids to somebody that can take care of them, because obviously you can't. And I'm not downplaying postpartum depression. I'm not downplaying any type of mental illness. I understand that it's rough. Okay, I get it. It's a beast. But if that's really how you feel that you can understand, and you're suffering like that, and you're not able to take care of your children in the way that they need to be, give them to somebody that can. Go get yourself help. Stop trying to relate to a murderer on the internet. Love y'all. Bye.
Yeah, that's straight up sound advice. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna get it twisted like everybody out here agreeing with Shorty. Oh yeah, they own them hills. They own them hills for sure. Oh yes. Everybody's on them hills.
Clancy case, I thought, pretty cut and dry. She sent her husband on an errand and then killed her 3 children. Death penalty. And then I saw about half the women on the internet coming to her defense, and I thought, okay, is there something I'm missing here? So I asked my wife what she thought. And my wife, who's a very reasonable and rational woman, said, well, if you look at her diary entries, there's a reason why a lot of women can sympathize with the feeling of being overwhelmed or failing as a wife and a mother, because your hormones can go nuts after having kids. When you also look at the various medical providers she had and the fact that she was on a strange cocktail of 13 different types of drugs, from antidepressants to mood stabilizers, et cetera, you can also suggest that that's probably a bad thing and something to consider. However, this is the part where my wife is a reasonable and rational person. She still sent her husband on an error while she systematically strangled the life out of her 3 children, and that's evil and deserves to be punished. So one can have sympathy for these other things while still making sure that the preponderance of your sympathy goes to the children who were murdered. By the way, for the women out there that think the husband actually did it, because after all, he's a Gemini and we all know how they are, yeah, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. In fact, you probably shouldn't be allowed to walk outside without a helmet.
I have to agree with this wholeheartedly. Her defense is arguing that she had undiagnosed bipolar disorder and postpartum psychosis that they claim was missed by a cast of rotating providers. Now, prosecutors dispute this because she acted rationally, intentionally, and swiftly. She asked her husband to go run errands to have him leave the home. What got my attention was a response from women online. Some women, because I'm a woman and there's no way in the world you will catch me holding my baby saying, "Me too, Lindsay." Someone get CPS on the line. Notice what's completely absent from these videos. There's no emotion for the children whose lives she took. Real grief for a tragedy centers the victims. This trend on social media is centered around the participants' performance, not the children who are no longer with us. Lindsay's ex-husband actually publicly forgave her and sued the medical providers instead. And yet these women have decided to blame him for what happened to his children, as if he did not also lose his children. This is a pattern I'm seeing where people don't want to actually look at the facts of a situation or a tragedy. They just want to publicly virtue signal to have proximity to it. This is a culture that has lost the ability to hold 2 truths at one time. Yes, mental illness is real. 2, 3 children have just lost their lives. Violently, might I add. And neither fact should be allowed to erase the other. They cannot hold compassion for someone with a mental health struggle without centering themselves around it while holding their own children and suggesting that should they do the same, they would have an entire group of women who will gladly back, financially support them, and publicly excuse their behavior. I go into greater detail on
That was a great breakdown right there. Sheesh. I love it when they just smart and cute. For sure, man. But hey, sometimes the messages don't come out like you think they should.
What a day. This is the last time I'm going to speak on it. To all the women out there that are defending Lindsay Clancy, I hope you all go straight to hell. The only ones that I stand with are these 3 right here. Lindsay Clancy, 2 weeks prior to her doing this, texted her own mother saying, "Mom, I don't feel well. I'm having thoughts of hurting the children." But instead of getting the help that she knew she needed, she didn't. She went ahead and killed them children anyway. The little boy, she strangled him so aggressively that his eyeballs had popped out of his sockets. And there's women out there defending her. What if those were your children and Lindsay was your babysitter and she killed all 3 of your children? Are you just going to go out to the courthouse and hold up your little heart hands and talk about how, oh, it's just postpartum and mental health issues?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't do that, would you? I hope she rots in fucking prison. I hope she gets killed while she's in prison by strangulation. And if you and I run in the same circles and you have posted about defending this woman, please delete me, block me, and never fucking speak to me again, and stay as far away from my son as possible. There's definitely a mental health crisis in this country, that's for sure. The fact that anybody would defend this woman. Y'all are sick in the fucking head. Lindsay and Patrick are both guilty as far as I'm concerned. The doctors are guilty. The mother is guilty. The one who didn't do anything when her daughter said, I'm having thoughts of hurting the children. They're all fucking guilty. And 3 innocent lives were taken because of the craziness that went on in this fucking family. And you got people out here defending her? Ugh. Go straight to fucking hell.
Very, 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 very valid opinion. Even the big female creators is jumping on and like, nah, not me.
As of today, I am seeing posts of mothers that are saying we are Lindsay Clancy. I want to make something very, very clear. As a decently large creator, I, as a mother of 2 and as a woman, I am not Lindsay Clancy. I am not even remotely close to Lindsay Clancy. I think some of you women, specifically mothers, are completely forgetting the fact that Lindsay admitted to using exercise bands on all 3 of her children's necks to take their life. She admitted that. This whole conspiracy theory that it was Patrick that ended their life is absolutely insane, and I think some of you mothers who are doing everything you can to defend Lindsay and try to say we are Lindsay Clancy, you guys should honestly start to maybe consider going to a mental hospital yourself, because you are defending a mother who killed all 3 of her children. You are 100% defending that. Now, if the tables were turned and Patrick, let's just say he had schizophrenia, if he took the lives of all 3 of his children, I can guarantee you that at 100% confidence, not a single one of you females would be defending him. Not one of you. So I'm going to make this clear right now. I am not Lindsay Clancy, and I never will be. As of
She says she done heard enough from the crazies and it keeps getting worse.
The crazies just keep going further and further and further and further, okay? A group of them showed up at the courthouse where Lindsay Clancy's having her trial, wearing pink shirts. Some of them even brought their children. Like, I'm sorry, you brought your baby to a trial where a woman murdered babies? Okay, yeah. And not only that, but I've come across videos, TikToks and Reels of mothers holding their babies, crying, holding their babies, with like the audio being Lindsay Clancy's lawyer, like talking about like what Lindsay went through. And in a caption it says, "Me too, Lindsay." So you're supporting a woman that murdered her children, saying "me too" while you're holding your baby? Are y'all not seeing how crazy y'all look? Like, what? I just have to know, men, significant others, I highly doubt these women have a partner because there ain't no way. Baby daddies, whatever. How do y'all feel about this? The mother of your child is supporting this, right? Like, let's say she is, and making videos and saying, "Me too, Lindsay," holding her baby and crying and relating to a baby killer. How are y'all feeling about this? The crazies just keep going further and further and further and further, okay? A group of them showed up at the courthouse where Lindsay...
Oh yeah, this is straight up whackness.
Clancy's courthouse, you know, all that solidarity for Lindsay. And they know the facts. I mean, we're into closing arguments now. Instruction to the jury will be Monday or Tuesday. And here's some of the facts. And while that, I want you to watch this video I'm posting while I tell you some of the facts. Right here. Trial testimony has shown a more complex picture, and Clancy's former nanny, Eileen Rossi, who worked for the family in 2022, described her as a wonderful mom who loved her kids, saying she was attentive to their safety, eating, sleeping, and that Rossi never had concerns about the children's welfare in their mother's care. Not only that, but the father left his office job and came and worked from home. She decides she's going to come home and take care of the children too and not work anymore, right? So they let Miss Rossi go. That was the decision between both of them, not just him or her, both of them. And then I think since when she set the wheels in motion, she didn't want the kids anymore. She was jealous. She knew in my heart, I believe she knew they were going to get a divorce. Okay? And she wasn't going to let him have her kids. I believe that's the situation, just in the stuff that she did 3 or 4 months before this took down. Number one, she went to a bunch of psychiatrists and psychologists. Guess what she didn't tell them? I feel like murdering my children.
Right.
No, she didn't do that, did she? No. But she did the appropriate things. She installed herself in the hospital for 30 days. Not at any time for 30 days did she say, I want to hurt my children. No. And then a full day for a mental watch, a full day. Didn't mention it there either. No. Then she methodically asked her husband to go get them something to eat from a restaurant far away and go to CVS and pick up some diarrhea medicine for the baby. Yeah, that's what she did. You're still watching this. Anyway, I'm just saying, it's diabolical, not to mention all the stuff she's writing in that diary, very appropriate language that she knows exactly what she's doing. You know, the fact that she worked in the prenatal unit is really strange to me because she knows what she's doing. I believe she knows. I believe when it was all over, she realized what kind of trouble she was in and was trying to kill herself and throw herself out the window. That is mental derangement. It doesn't need to be a not guilty like the lady down there in Miami. No, 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 no. She needs to be put under a prison or in a cell at the mental ward, a padded one. Period. Now, as far as these liberal ladies up here, you know what I don't see? Nowhere on the grounds up there with all those ladies, all those women. A little memorial for the children, the 3 children with their little pictures and teddy bears and flowers and balloons. Not one. I'm concerned about the liberal pink ladies over there in front of Lindsay Clancy's.
Hey, she busts that down. Straight up. But I ain't gonna hold you. I'm a emoji, fold you, and scold you about being on code, and you know I got 4 words for you. I need all the new people to go ahead and subscribe for the vibe, like for the spike in the algorithm, comment your vomit, and share if you care about getting Black empowerment everywhere. Please do that on the platforms that we are on, Jones. And just to bring it on home, I got love, peace, blessings, and aloha. I'll be right back with that crime. You already know. Look at you.